Well, one race left on today's program, Steve, and it is the final race for the cRU Junior Cup. 2 wins for 2 starts so far for Hunter Corney. Can he make it 3? Can he do a Mike Jones-esque performance?
Well, slightly trickier conditions out there now after the sprinkle of rain. It's sort of pretty hard for us to see at the moment how wet it is or what tyres they've got on, but there's been a decent amount of a delay, so perhaps they would have got wets put on if they needed to. So it's very, very hard to see. I mean, it's not wet, 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 that's for sure.
Sounds a good name for a band.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, Sam Phillips at the front of the grid with his famous red flag, indicating that we're just about ready to go racing. Six laps is the duration. The riders, it has been confirmed, are all on wet weather tyres. There's obviously going to be some wet patches around this circuit. We saw the rain was relatively heavy. cRU Junior Cup is go. Great start once again for both the riders on positions 1 and 2, Hunter Charlotte and also Ethan Johnson, who've got off to a pretty good start. Hunter Charlotte on board bike number 73 will lead them down through turn 1 for the first time. Well, you can see there, she's very wet through turn 1. Yeah. Look at the spray coming up, Steve.
Yeah, 100% wet weather tyres there. That's exactly what they needed. And now these guys haven't had a lot of wet weather experience, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go. But you can just see there, number 16 going all the way around the outside. That's an incredible amount of speed that Rossi McAdam's showing there.
Well, a lot of these riders are actually ex-dirt trackers and flat trackers, so they probably will love a little bit of unpredictability in the surface conditions to really bring out those skills.
Look at the difference there. The sun's beaming down on that part of the circuit.
Track looks perfectly dry.
Yeah.
And then we know that it was raining quite heavily up at turn 6 because that's where Brock Pearson's fan club was situated, and they were packing up under considerable rain. But as we head down to turn 4 now on this first lap, it is Connor Lewis and Nicholas Lazos that you can see there with the 2 red helmets on. They're sitting back there in, is it 3rd and 4th position? No, that's 4th and 5th position.
Definitely,
because out to a very handy lead is Hunter Charlotte.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, isn't he, out there in front at the moment?
Well, he's also second in the championship as well, Hunter Charlotte, so important for him to get good championship points here to try and reel back in the leader, Hunter Corney, who you can see Corney there on board bike number 40 in 2nd place in the race. But look at this lead from Hunter Charlotte after only 1 lap. They come across the line. It's going to be out to about 1.5 seconds as they come across the line, Steve.
Yeah, it's unheard of in this class.
A 49.3 on a wet track on wets from a standing start.
Yeah, pretty impressive. One of the riders just looks like they missed the start and coming out of the pit lane. So unfortunately for them, obviously they'll get to ride, but they won't feature in the race results.
So around the outside, is that Lazos trying to go around the outside? It is on board bike number 11. Couldn't quite get around the outside of Connor Lewis. Hunter Charlotte's lead starting to open out a little bit more. 2.2 seconds it was as they went across the start-finish line. It's now out to 3 seconds as they go through the end of intermediate number 1. Connor Lewis in 2nd, Lazos in 3rd, Rossi McAdam 4th, Hunter Corney back to 5th place. Phoenix O'Brien, obviously a very skilled dirt tracker, is now up to 6th position. Augustus O'Halloran up to 7th. Ethan Johnson's gone back to 8th place. Jed Louis in 9th. And Ethan Pelgrave rounds out that top 10.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned too much about Phoenix O'Brien before, so it's good to see him up there, and the skills that he's got riding off-road are obviously helping him here.
So he's 9 seconds behind the race lead, so he will be the next rider through. There he is in that little group with, it's Augustus O'Halloran now that's gone up to the lead of that group with Phoenix O'Brien swapping positions. 6th and 7th they are. Almost dry there at Ducati corner turn 6. Out past the Pirelli signs we go, and onto the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance start-finish straight. That will be 2 laps down.
Hunter Charlotte. Wow, he's doing a great job. He's like 2 seconds, more than 2 seconds lap quicker than the rest of the field at the moment.
Yeah, 1:41.654 on the first flying lap. Just have a look at the times that they were doing on the dry slick tyres. 1:35.3 was the fastest lap in qualifying for Hunter Corney.
That's pretty impressive then.
So only 6 seconds a lap slower on the wet tyres with wet track at probably about what, a third of the track, Steve. So
yeah.
Especially through this very fast corner. It's probably one of the fastest corners on, or if not the fastest corner on the track.
Absolutely.
Turn 2, and it's probably the wettest corner on the track.
That corner would be flat out on these bikes. It's a 200-kilometre-an-hour corner when you're going through it flat out. So these things, you know, they go a lot slower than that. So they would be flat out through there.
Get them tucked down behind the screen, and they get on the brakes now down at AWMF corner turn 3. Big move on the brakes there. Just trying to see who that was coming up the inside on the brakes. I think it might have been 68. That's Henry Hind. Big move there from Henry on the brakes down into... well, that corner's now covered in shadows too, Steve, so it's going to make it even harder to try and decipher what the track conditions are, and also where the braking markers are.
Yeah, exactly. Especially you get those shadows, and you can just see now, like it was just, although it came down pretty heavy for a short period of time, the track's warm, so that means the tyres are going to stay warm. These wet weather tyres are designed to work in perhaps wetter conditions than these, so these guys should have reasonably good feel from the tyres that they've got on board.
So giving the Dunlop wets a serious workout on a couple of dry sections of the track as well.
They should be able to handle it though, for sure. Because these bikes aren't like wheel spinning monsters that are going to spin the wheels to oblivion and rip the tread off. You know, perhaps on a super bike in these conditions you'd be in trouble, but with the way it is at the moment, you know, I think that these guys should have just, you know, some really good feel out there. And the way that you can tell that is, you know, touching wood. Everyone's still upright at the moment, so the tyres are working great.
Well, and also the fact that when they get to that very wet part of the circuit, there's enough water to cool the tyres back down again, as Nicholas Lazos has a big lunge on the brakes to move up one position there.
Not as big as Hunter Corney, though. He's found something there.
Well, Corn's on the charge now, and he's heading back. Oh, we've got one down, it looks like, on... that looks like he's at turn 3. He's gone a long way into the gravel trap there. Or is that actually turn 2?
Yeah.
Could be Motorcycling Australia corner 2.
Turn 1, I think.
Turn 1, that's another fast corner.
That's actually Hunter Charlotte that's gone down.
Oh no, the race leader has crashed. Race leader has crashed at turn 1. That means that this battle now between Hunter Corney, Rossi McAdam, Nicholas Lazos and Connor Lewis is actually for the race win. So Corney playing his cards very, very smartly. He's not the championship leader for no good reason, as around the outside goes Rossi McAdam on board for the 16 machine. Actually, if Nicholas Lazos can get up on the podium, this will be his first ever podium. I know he started off the year with some pretty good form, but I don't think he's been on the podium at any race that I can remember in the Oceania bLU Junior Cup.
I thought he went pretty good in Sydney. So check that out. I feel he went good in Sydney.
So around through this very fast area that claimed our early race leader we go. Round the outside, look at the corner momentum carried there by Rossi McAdam. Obviously got a fair bit of confidence on bike number 16. Exactly what he did on the first lap of the race, I think it was, Steve, when you called it, going around the high, wide line through turn 2.
I mean, see how wet it is up there, and here it's dry. Tricky conditions for these guys.
So on the brakes we go at the very last minute. McAdam had the foot dangle happening down into AWMF corner, trying to get the last little bit out of the brakes. Lazos up into third place. Connor Lewis holding on to 4th. Then they've got a 12-second gap back to Phoenix O'Brien and Augustus O'Halloran, who are battling for 5th and 6th. Then another 3 seconds back to Jed Louis in 7th place, who's got a 1.5 second advantage over Ethan Pelgrave in 8th. Ethan Johnson in 9th, and Adam Jordan rounds out the top 10 with Henry Hind, Elijah Andrew, Zach Russo and Zane Beckensdale rounding out the other field of riders that took to the track in this final race for the round for the bLU Junior Cup.
He's
Still
tiny.
Corney, though.
Hey?
Still Corney that's holding down that lead.
Yeah, it is. And he's tiny, isn't he? I just having a look at him on that bike. He fits in behind that screen like way better than Rossi McAdam as an example.
Quite handy on an Avale GP2 as well, Steve.
Is he?
Was, won the GP0 series last year, doing a great job. And also doing a really good job on board the GP2s in his first year on the bigger Avales as well. Oh, around the outside. Is that McAdam again? Yes,
Yep.
It is.
He knows the line.
Oh, well, he's getting better and better at it as this race goes on. This is the final lap. No better time to pull out the unbelievable high-wide line on turn 2 and take the race lead. But Corney comes back as they make their way down to turn 3. Corney's got the inside line. Unfortunately for Rossi McAdam, there's no more turn 2s left that he can pull a manoeuvre like that on. But maybe he can do it at turn 6. He's going to have to be in a good position and play this last couple of corners very smart as we go towards the 2 left-handers now. He needs to get the drive out of Racing Road as he leaves Lazos and Lewis, the 2 red-helmeted riders, to battle for the last place on the podium.
Absolutely. He's got a little bit of a lead now, has Hunter Corney. Gets through there okay, through turn 4.
Bit of a moment there for Rossi McAdam. I think he's just got the warning that he was pushing about as hard as he's prepared to go.
It's going to come down to this final corner in the slipstream. And Connor Lewis is up the inside. One rider pulled over to the left there, but it's pretty spread out. Hunter Corney's gone in deep, and he's managed to keep it on the inside line there. So he's looking pretty good.
So Corney comes out in the lead. It is Rossi McAdam in second, but has Connor Lewis got the drive as they come out of the corner? I think Connor Lewis may just steal second right on the line as they come across the line. It is Connor Lewis that steals second position off Rossi McAdam. It was the great drive out of the final corner that got him there. Fastest lap of the race by Hunter Corney on the last lap, a 1:40.545, a 1:40.565 for Connor Lewis on the last lap. And unfortunately, Rossi McAdam's fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.95 on that last one, wasn't enough to take second position. But the good news is that he's still in the top 3 as they came across the line. Lazos in 4th, O'Brien in 5th place, O'Halloran in 6th, Louis in 7th, Pelgrave will take 8th, and as the rest of the field comes across the line now, Ethan Johnson should finish in 9th position, and Elijah Andrew should round out the top 10. But Hunter Corney, the perfect weekend in Queensland, pole position and 3 race wins, and extends his lead in the Oceania cRU Junior Cup. The win eventually 0.6 of a second over Connor Lewis, and that margin between Lewis and McAdam, Steve, absolutely nothing in it.
No, it was so close. You know, those guys gave it everything that they had. You know, it was an incredible race, and I mean, what a mix of conditions they've had over the course of the weekend as well. So, you know, good race for Hunter Corney, good weekend for Hunter Corney, good weekend for Connor Lewis. Rossi McAdam, Nicholas Lazos unfortunately missed out on that podium that he's been chasing, but, you know, Phoenix O'Brien, what a great ride he had. Augustus O'Halloran, Jed Lewis, Ethan Pelgrave following in his brother's footsteps.
Well, and just look at the difference between O'Brien and O'Halloran. We called it early on that they were battling out there on track. There was nothing between them, and they continued in that vein all the way to the checkered flag. But no one had a weekend like that man there, Hunter Corney. In fact, the only person that came close was Mad Mike Jones. But Corney won one more race.
There you go.
So, of course, remember, we've got a little bit of a break now before the next round of the Australian Superbike Championship at Morgan Park Raceway at Warwick in Queensland. The second of our back-to-back Queensland rounds on the 2nd to the 14th of July. Then we go to the Phillip Island circuit to start the run home for the championship finale at the Bend. Next weekend at Gilman in South Australia, Pro MX Championship is on at the South Australian circuit, and the Simpson brothers are riding there as well. Also, congratulations to the Holder brothers, who this weekend created history, being the first siblings to ever win Super Speedway Grand Prix titles or rounds as well.